The crowd at Cypress Grove Cemetery stood solemnly around the freshly dug grave. Quiet murmurs floated on a gentle breeze as family, friends, and acquaintances gathered to pay their respects to Robert Henley, a man revered for his charitable work and warm presence in the community. The polished black headstone gleamed in the afternoon sun, etched with the words, "A life of service and sacrifice." Among the mourners stood an elderly black woman, her deep green dress modest, and her silver hair tucked neatly beneath a simple hat. Clutching a single red rose, her steady hands contrasted with eyes weighed down by emotion. Few acknowledged her presence as she remained silent at the edge of the crowd. When the pastor concluded his prayer, she stepped forward. The crunch of gravel beneath her heels was the only sound as the mourners parted. At the grave, she paused, gently placed the rose on the casket, and turned to face the crowd. "My name is Hattie DeLay," she began, her voice steady. "I doubt many of you know me, but I knew Robert better than anyone here." A ripple of surprise swept through the crowd. Whispers of curiosity filled the air. Who was this woman? How could she claim such a deep connection to the man they all thought they knew so well? Hattie's gaze swept across the sea of faces. Her expression was calm yet resolute. "Before today ends, you'll understand why I'm here and the Robert Henley most of you never knew." The murmurs ceased as her words hung in the air. The weight of what she was about to reveal promised to change everything. "I met Robert 50 years ago," she began, her gaze distant. "It wasn't here, in this town. It was in Montgomery, Alabama, during a time when people like me weren't welcome in places like this." The crowd leaned in, curiosity flickering. Robert was just a young man, then full of fire and ambition. He worked as a teacher, but his heart belonged to the civil rights movement. That's where we crossed paths, on the steps of a church where we organized sit-ins. He wasn't afraid to stand beside me, even when it meant losing his job or facing threats. Gasps rippled through the group. The Robert they knew was generous and kind, but none had ever heard of his involvement in such struggles. Hattie's voice softened. "We weren't just comrades in the fight for justice. We became each other's family. He was there for me when I lost my sister to violence, and I was there for him when he rebuilt his life after being ostracized by his own." Her hand trembled slightly as she adjusted her hat, her eyes fixed on the casket. "He called me his sister in every way that mattered, even when it wasn't safe to say it out loud." The crowd shifted uncomfortably, reconciling this image of Robert with the man they thought they knew, a polished philanthropist who quietly helped many, but never spoke of his own battles. Hattie let the silence linger before continuing, her voice growing firmer. "What I'm telling you isn't just about the past. It's about the man he became because of those struggles." She paused, scanning the crowd. "There's more. Robert didn't just fight for others, he fought a battle no one could see. For years, he hid the fact that he was supporting a son he couldn't openly claim because of who the mother was." A collective gasp rippled through the mourners. Samuel, his son, was born to a woman Robert couldn't marry because of the time and place they lived in. The boy was black, like me. Robert couldn't acknowledge him publicly, but he loved him fiercely. He supported Samuel, wrote letters every week, and visited whenever he could under the cover of darkness. Tears welled in her eyes as her voice trembled. "Samuel is here today." A tall man stepped forward from the back of the crowd. His resemblance to Robert was unmistakable. Silence fell as Samuel moved to stand beside Hattie, his presence commanding. "Thank you," Samuel said quietly, his voice thick with emotion. Hattie smiled through her tears. "It was always my honor." The crowd, previously so stoic, now shifted visibly. Tears flowed freely as they listened to stories of Robert's unseen sacrifices. Hattie spoke again, her tone resolute. "2 months before Robert passed, he called me. He wasn't well, but his spirit hadn't faltered. He told me he was creating a trust not for himself, but for the children of this community. He wanted to provide scholarships, after-school programs, and mentorship for kids in need." Samuel stepped forward. "That trust is real. It's already established. My father wanted his life to mean something not just to the people he knew, but to future generations." Hattie looked at the crowd, her voice filled with quiet strength. That was Robert's greatest gift. He didn't need recognition. He just wanted to make the world better. She placed her hand on the headstone and spoke softly. "How will you be remembered? Not for what you had, but for the lives you touched and the love you gave. The crowd stood in reflective silence, moved beyond words. As they dispersed, many approached Hattie and Samuel, vowing to honor Robert's legacy. If Robert's story moved you, let it inspire you to make a difference in the lives of others. Share this story to remind the world that true legacies are built on kindness, sacrifice, and love. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to hear more powerful stories like this. Together, we can celebrate the unsung heroes and learn the lessons they leave.